So welcome to Goree Island. My name is Papi. I'm an official tour guide in Senegal. I've been doing that for 20 years. And the name Goree comes from the Dutch word goedere, that means a good harbor for the sailboat to come in. So Goree have histories. History related to slavery trade. The Portuguese were the first European to come here, and when they arrived they found native people on the island, and they moved them in Dakar, and they started doing the slavery trade here. And the activities started from 1536, and the Portuguese were replaced by Dutch, and then the Dutch were replaced by British, and British by French. From 1536 to 1848, Goree was a transit center where many captives left for the trip of no known destination. It was men, women, and children came from mainland, and they chose Goree Island because the captive could not escape. Once they tried to escape, they were eaten by sharks. Why sharks? Because every morning they opened the dungeons, and there agonizing captive were thrown at sea, and that attracts sharks around this island.
Beautiful colors, as you can see.
Portuguese arrived in Goree first before they went to Cape Verde? Or
Exactly. Before they went, when they were defeated here, they went to Cape Verde.
Okay.
And Cape Verde became their store.
Okay.
And from Cape Verde, they shipped to Brazil.
To the Americas, yeah. So these buildings are, these are all colonial buildings?
All of them, they are before colonial.
Before colonial.
Slavery.
So this was 1800. So this stone.
This stone, they are volcano stone. Dakar was a volcano 800 years BC before the Christ. And they took the stone from the island in the west coast to here to build the island. And you can see here, the municipal hotel, the district hotel is named the Door of Our Return. Because at the slavery house, the door without return, the door of no return. So here you have the door of our return.
La Porte de Retour.
So on 2019, I had the mayor of New York and the son of Marcus Garvey. They were doing...
Bill de Blasio, the mayor of New York in 2019.
The mayor of New York, yes. How are you? Ça va très bien, merci. And then the son of Marcus Garvey, the delegation, they were doing back to our roots. And then later on in Ghana, there was Steve Harvey, the big Steve.
Yeah.
And then it was very important to have those African Americans, because every February we receive them here, back to their roots, to know more about their origin, the African descendant. And this, you can see the house in front of you. It looks like the sailboat they used to transport the captive with. The house is painted, and this one is basalt stone, just maintained. And this house is now the administration of the museum. The office of the administration is here. And the captive house, that's the pink you have on the bottom. And you can see the house, it looks like a sailboat. And this is in basalt. Basalt stone from a volcano. And this is painted. And this house was owned by a woman who were doing slavery trade, was doing slavery business.
This is an African woman.
Yeah, African. Married to white Europeans.
Okay.
And they had the privilege to have this. But the houses you have by the seaside, they were the captive houses because they need them. The door of... Welcome to Goree Island. This house was built by Dutch in 1779. Oftentimes, it was the whole family, dad, mom, and the children, but in separated dungeon. The dungeon you have here, 15 to 20 captives, sitting, chain and shackle around their neck and arm. They were freed once a day to go to toilet. If they don't need to go to toilet, they lock the door and they have to wait for tomorrow. And if they're in need, they will not open for them. That's why they did their need inside here. And this is why they had plague epidemic, because they were drinking rainwater, and rat and mice were drinking the same rainwater and contaminate them. This room, for example, was for 20 captive, only men. Man. And the value of a man depends on the muscles.
C'est fini.
This was the door down from China. The last part they touch before they go for the trip of unknown destination. From here, the Pope, John Paul, apologized because the Catholic missionary was involved in slavery. The first corridor you see here, it was the waiting room the day of the departure. They chained them here. 2 persons were chained. If they jump in the water, they cannot swim. And if they jump in the water, they were eaten by sharks. And they stayed here until they reformed or died. And we received President Mandela, and he entered inside despite the refusal of the protocol. And when President Mandela was out, he was crying. Maybe he was remembering time he stayed in jail. Look at this, no windows, very dark. Once they are agonizing, they open them and throw them at sea. And this one for children. The value of a child was a mirror. A child between 6 years to 12 years, they were looking at the teeth with healthy teeth, so the value was just a mirror to see yourself. And this place we call the Sardine Box Dungeon. So many kids laying on the floor. The rules at that time, they do not have to see each other. They can be a whole family, but in separated room. Mama, dad, and the children in separated dungeon. The separation was total. Dad can go to Brazil, Mama to Cuba, Haiti, or West Indies. And once they arrive in America, they have English name. In Brazil, they have Portuguese name. In Spanish country, they have Spanish name or surname. So they borrow their master's name, never their African original name. So they had brand. They brand them, numbers. And upstairs was a branding place. The value of a young girl was a rifle, like a man of 120 pounds. And how to look, they were young girls, they were looking at the breast. With shape and pointed breast, they were considered virgin. And those young girls, they had toilet. The toilet was just here. And then it goes direct to the sea. But the other captive, they have to go to the bridge every morning. Why the young girl had toilet? Because the white masters had some relation with them. And they do not want those girls to contaminate them. And the girl, they accepted because they do not want to go for the trip. Because once pregnant, they released them on the island and they became domestic slaves. In Senegal, on Goree Island or Saint Louis in the north. And their kids became French automatically. So the young girl, they have a bigger room.
Are they not merciful?
The value of a man was the weight, 120 pounds, and the value was 1 rifle. For a man of 120 pounds, 60 kilograms, the value was 1 rifle.
1 rifle.
If the man don't reach 120 pounds, fed them here with beans and palm oil to fatten them. And after they have to go to the weighing room where they weigh them, once 120 pounds, they're upstairs. Once a boat, they brand them and they wait here for 3 months before the arrival of the vessel, the sailboat for the trip to America.
It has a window?
Window.
Okay.
Because the wife of Napoleon wanted to make comfortable the jail by just opening a window.
The wife of Napoleon wanted...
Josephine de Beauharnais, she was Creole from Martinique. She owned plantation. And when slavery over, the business shut down. And said to this man, Napoleon, I want to to open again the slavery trade business. And then I will open the jail to have windows. But I have to start again doing slavery trade business.
So,
Josephine de Beauharnais. And this was a jail for recalcitrant, the rebel. And many died here of pneumonia. Pneumonia because humidity from the ocean. So died in this room.
So a lot of people died
A
in
lot
here.
of people died here.
And where would they bury them?
They throw them at sea.
They just throw them. They don't even bury them.
No,
They just
black
throw
people
them.
did not have a cemetery. Black people were at Auschwitz and shot at them.
And what about white people?
White people, they had a cemetery.
They have a cemetery here on the island.
See later, yeah. And this was for men.
It's just for men.
Yeah, men.
How many people were in here again? Like 20?
20, yes. 20 sitting for 3 months before they ship them to
Do they ever come out?
They come out once a day for toilet.
That's it.
That's it. And they
This is where they eat.
They eat everything, they do everything inside. Even they did their need if they don't open for the
20 human beings
20.
they eat in here
for 3 months.
for
stay.
3 months
Yeah.
in the dark.
Mm. And this chain had the capability to go to toilet.
Okay, you see?
And in the middle, an iron ball of 20 kilograms.
Wow.
So they had this chain in the middle, a iron ball to toilet. And if they jump in the water, they were eaten by shark. So this is the iron ball. So it looks like the sailboat, 30 meters long, 8 wide. They put 300 inside. And 25% died before they get to America. And they were chained like that. And there the Pope apologized, the Pope John Paul from Rome, because the Catholic missionary was involved in slavery trade. And this is the process, how they were hunting people from the mainland and come with them to the shore and to the slavery house. Every new arrival, just between the horseshoe stairs, and then they have to bargain, to discuss about the price, and then to brand a number. And this lasted 300 years. 300 years in which they had 100 persons, 200 in the house here. And upstairs was apartment for the white traders. So here they were very comfortable, and I wonder how could they live inside here with what was happening down. It's to compare life in a chateau, in a castle, and life in a bar. And this place was the market. Every new arrival had to come here. If it is a man, they open the mouth, see the teeth, see the muscles. And the best quoted race in West Africa was Yoruba in Nigeria and Western Benin. And then in Senegal, it was Fulani, it was Wolof, it was Serer and Mandinko. They were transported to America. Mandinko, the ancestor of Alex Haley, Kunta Kinte. For example, Kunta Kinte were deported from Gambia to here before the transport to America. And here was the rooms for the white traders. So between 100, 200 captives were on the ground floor. And they stayed here 3 months before they shipped them to America. And the market was like that. A child between 6 years and 12, the value was just a mirror. You see yourself in just one child. And the process, the Europeans financed the tribal war, and they were fighting each other. Once defeated, even if you were king, queen, landowner, they were defeated and deported to America. So this is why it was very tough. Every king wanted to have a rifle in order to secure his kingdom. So they were attacking other kingdoms, defeat them to secure themselves.
And when they sell the slaves, the rifle was basically the currency.
Exactly, the rifle was the currency.
So that perpetuated the war basically, because you want to sell strong slaves so that you can get as many guns as possible.
Exactly.
To defeat kingdoms so that you can sell them to the white folks.
Exactly.
To ship to the Americas.
Exactly. Without gun, The risk is high
Yeah.
to be defeated and shipped as a captive to the white folk country. And the countries where you have slavery trade, Senegal was the closest, and then you have Sierra Leone, Ivory Coast to Angola. And about 15 million was shipped to the new continent. 15 million was shipped to America. And once they arrived there, they lived in a very bad conditions. But during the shipment, 25% died of ill treatment when crossing the Atlantic. And these were found in Senegal. The kings, even having the rifle, they still believe in the tradition. That's why this gun have some amulets. And then sometimes they defeat the crew, but they don't know how to transport. And once they arrive in America and they release them, they became free. And it's a movie we call Amistad. They set them free. They were 500 captive. In the marketplace, you see a child. The value of a child was just one mirror. Yeah,
A child is a mirror.
One mirror. Separation of the parents. You see the mama, she refused, and they beat. Yeah. The mirror for a child.
And this right here?
And this was just a gun from a local chief, and the charcoal found here on Goree Island in chains.
These are the chains.
Yeah. This was for the neck, and this was for two persons, so they cannot run away. And here was the balcony, where they used to sit, having their coffee, and watching them when they ship them. They load them in the sailboat to America.
So the slave traders, they sat here, they drink coffee, sipping on wine.
Yeah, exactly. And this was
enjoying the breeze.
Exactly. And this was the toilet, and the other one was the kitchen. And this house was built by Dutch. This one was built by Dutch on 1784. 1784, this one was built. And all houses by the seaside here were captive house.
Yeah, so that has been a very somber history lesson. For many people that deny the existence of this history, I mean, you have no other evidence except for you have all these people, they stay in here. Look at those rooms. They are there. Human beings staying in these rooms. Men, women, families, kids. Dozens and dozens of them. Look at how small this place is. You have these folks staying here. They eat here. They do everything in here. They die here. That small window is their little vision to the world. Same here as well. They're here for 3 months. And then when the ships come, I guess there are two ways that you get out of here if you are black. One
is bye-bye Africa.
Bye-bye Africa, or the other way is if you're thrown to the sharks.
Eaten by sharks.
Yep. So that is a somber history. Two ways to get out of here if you're black, if you're African.
This one is called the door of no return.
The door of no return.
Drink without.
Either you go to the Americas or you get fed to the sharks.
A boat ambulance. And this is a baobab tree. And this baobab tree have 500 years.
500-year-old tree.
And how to know the age? When we count the rings, we measure, we see the rings, and we know how old they are.
This is 500 years old.
500 years.
So it was here before the Portuguese.
Exactly. So they know a lot of history.
So they were here when the atrocities happened.
Exactly.
They are witness. They bear witness. This tree, 500 years old, it witnessed all of the atrocities of the slave traders. It witnessed it.
And this is the left side of the island. This is 300 meters from north to ocean here, and you see it there.
Again, if not for the atrocities that happen on this island, this is a beautiful,
Exactly.
I mean, look at the street.
Yeah, this is why we say the dark history and the beauty of Goree is really different.
Yeah, like it's a dichotomy.
Exactly.
Such a beautiful island.
So it's a fair.
Oh, look at that. It's like, a mini Colosseum. Like,
Yes, we do sounds and light of Goree Island, so we do it here very often.
oh, look at that.
The fair there. And then Mariamaba School, the educational school. It's a boarding school for girls, the best in Senegal, from 11 to 18 years. The government gave this authorization for the girls to promote and empower them.
When I was younger, I read a book by Mariam Abba.
Yeah, very influential in Senegal. The book called A So Long Letter.
Yup, so long a letter. In fact, it inspired. I wrote a book many years ago. So long a letter. It inspired the book that I wrote called The Diary of an Immigrant. It was also a letter. I wrote a letter when I wrote a book in my early 20s. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the baobab trees, they saw everything.
Yeah, and this school is very good. They have computer science room, and they were supported by soccer player, like Drogba, like Samuel Eto'o, and the Senegalese soccer player. They came here with computer for them. And you see the list of the
top students
top students
on the tree.
on the baobab tree. And the Bambara Street, because many captive, many slaves were from Mali. They know how to build houses with rocks, with stone, without iron. So the Bambara Street.
So Bambara is like a Malian name.
Bambara is the main ethnic groups in Mali.
In Mali. Bambara.
If you go to Dogon country, they build their house without iron, and this house have more than 800 years. Timbuktu and all those.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's why they brought many slaves from Mali to here. So imagine how many slaves died. Not only in the Atlantic, but in the continent before they arrived to
Before
Goree.
they arrived here. And also on the island.
Yes.
And then they throw them in the water.
Exactly.
And there is no trace of them because they did not bury them.
Exactly.
They didn't deserve to be buried.
No. Even sick, they were thrown at sea because they don't want them to contaminate. other captives.
So even if you're sick, they're
Yeah.
not going to give you opportunity to recover.
No. And look at this recycling. They take the bottled water, they put some material on it. Yeah. Mineral water bottles, recycling. For the garden.
So it's kind of like the mix of the modern with the old. Look at the AC.
And look at the baobab tree, the windows, the colors. Every house, each house have an identity. That's very important.
Identity.
And look at the streets, beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful cobblestone streets. So the Portuguese were here before they were in Cape Verde.
Yes. And then they were defeated here and they moved
Yeah,
to
and they moved.
another place.
They ran
And
away.
from Cape Verde they go south to Mozambique and others, and later on to Angola. And the European, French, the Dutch occupied the closest part to be back to Europe. And this was the church of Goree, built by slaves on 1830. And on 1848, slavery over. And in this church, you cannot sit where you want because the bench depend on those who donate more, and they had their name on the bench.
Interesting.
And the black people were not allowed to come to the church.
They're not allowed to come to the church.
Yeah,
They built it, but they were not allowed to come. Were there a lot of black Christians?
yeah. But as they were domestic slaves, so they could not be here in the church. So say Charles Borromée Church on Goree Island. So on Goree they have 800 Roman Catholics.
800 Roman Catholics.
And the names on the bench.
The names were on the
The
bench.
names of those who donate, they sit on the bench.
So how old are this furniture? They're very old.
Very old, yes. And the French governor was on the top.
Ooh.
In case he come to the cell.
Let me just.
And it's very rare to see black representation in the Roman Catholic. But this is Saint Iphigenie. And this is Benoit l'Africain, the first black priest, originally from Chad.
Benoit. The very first black priest.
And here you have the message.
Saint Iphigenie. That's Papa Jean Paul.
And this was the declaration of Easter ceremony. And the drums, they have a ceremony. It's a drum. And the message is in drum. All of the most spoken language.
Champs-Élysées. This is the main alley of Goree Island. This is the Champs-Élysées of Goree.
When Senegal play with
Yeah.
African Cup of Nations, the VAR.
VAR. It's like, okay, we have to check, is that a penalty or not?
Yes.
Is that a penalty? Like,
So the referee have to come and see.
yeah, you have to go and see, okay, VAR. Yeah. Poo, 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 poo. Yeah!
And here you have the artist named Martial. The name of the artist, Martial.
Martial. Como Anthony Martial. I mean, so far this has been an interesting trip, eye-opening learning experience.
And this was the Place de la Gouvernance. The French governor lived here when they were doing slavery trade and the profit back to France. And this was the stage for the French governor when he was speaking to the population.
So the French governor will go up these stairs,
Yeah.
and then you have everyone's kind of like standing this
Yeah,
square,
standing
listening to
around.
him.
Yeah. This was the town square during the
The
slavery
town
trade.
square.
And this was built in 1677, the palace,
Is that the palace for
the French governor
the French governor?
during the slavery trade. (1677) it was built, and very strategic. You see the soccer place of Goree and the baobab tree in the middle,
The baobab again.
in
With-
the middle of the.
Yeah, with a witness to everything.
Exactly. And this is the marketplace of Goree Island for souvenirs.
So these days is the marketplace.
Palace. After they moved from here to Dakar, at the end of slavery, they moved from here and they start building the palace in Dakar between 1904 to 1906.
So the president of Senegal used to stay here.
The
governor. Sorry,
the governor,
the governor
Senegal,
of Senegal
and West Africa used to stay here
here.
and do business in slavery trade. At the end of slavery, they have to move on the continent.
Right.
This is why this building is for France. They want to renovate it for a hotel, but the negotiation is very complicated. Because signed with UNESCO side, the World Heritage side, the Senegalese government, and the mayor of
Everybody has to agree.
yeah. And this was the graveyard for the white people.
For the white folks, this was their
Yeah, the white
graveyard.
folk.
So at least they have some history here. These slave traders, they were buried. Whenever they died, they were buried here.
And the black people were thrown at sea.
They were thrown at sea.
And
Yep.
there was a plague epidemic, and many white people died, and they was buried here. This is a mass grave.
Ah,
You can have some of them. The grave is there.
ah,
But under they have many there.
many. So if they were to excavate this, they will find a lot of.
And this Blaise Diagne,
which is the liberation place.
And slavery over in 1848 on Goree Island, 1848. And later on in America, it's 1863, 1865. And in Brazil, 1888. But from the departure point on Goree Island, it's over on 1848. And that's the monument of the liberation. So here you have the Statue de la Libération, and this Statue de la Libération comes from Guadeloupe, from the Caribbeans.
Yep.
They came here on pilgrims in 2002, and they brought the statue and the drum. Because in the plantation they had the drum, and the drum was like a telephone to announce what day or what time they have been in action, and some slave can escape. In Africa we have tam-tam telephone to announce death, to announce funeral, to announce fire accident, or everything. So the drum is a telephone in Africa, and those who are initiated, they know the code, and they can come to help. So that's why they come this statue. And you have a nice view of Goree Island. Beautiful island, but very painful history. This is why we say we forget. We forgive, but we never forget. Yes. We forgive, but we never forget what happened. Wars involve some Africans who are corrupted, but Europeans who corrupt Africans. So this is why it's very important to come here and know about the reality. Goree was one transit center, but there were many in Africa, like in Alada, in Uida, until Angola and Mozambique. So 15 million captives were shipped to America to work in the plantation. So for 200 years, in some places for 400 years, they have been working for free. This is why those countries, they are more wealthy than Africa. Africa have suffered of slavery. Africa has suffered of colonialism. And still we have it in another way. This is why we think about the African Renaissance. And we have built a monument in Dakar to show that Africa can develop by helping our kids for the next generation to be happy. Thank you very much.